Okay, call the meeting to order of the Budget and Personnel Committee. Do you have any petitions of the audience? I do not know of any. Okay, next thing is discuss, possibly approve the minutes of the December 10th, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Call for the, any discussion? We never do discuss. Call for, you ready? Is there any discussion? No discussion? Call for the vote.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Joshua.
Yes. Mayor's report. I'm getting too big a hurry, aren't
You are.
Promise to keep it short and sweet.
I?
You've got the, y'all are gonna laugh because I gave out those big copies and now I'm up here going, okay.
Oh, you can borrow mine, I just say,
Yeah,
here you go.
it's okay, I got my notes on here. You'll see that sales tax came in yesterday, I think is when we got them in, and then we got the tobacco tax this afternoon. But you're up 31,980 over last year, or last month on the sales tax. That'll bring our average down a little bit from where we were a few months ago to 957,000 for the fiscal year. That's our monthly average for the sales tax. So even though we're down a little bit, we're still trending overall in the right direction. You look at the use tax, unbelievable month for use tax. If you go back through the last couple of years, I think 173,000 was the next underneath that one, but we're right at just under 180,000 for use tax. So we'll take it however we get it, right? Combine those two together, you're at 1,092,535. 535. I was just kind of looking. That puts us at the third highest month of the fiscal year so far. So our highest was 1,166,000. That was following the Bluegrass Festival. The next month was 1,095,000, and then we're here with 1,092,000. That's combined. So that is combining the two. That is not bringing in the tobacco tax into that number, but take it up $5,000. That's where we're at there. So, you know, we're still seeing good numbers, even though, you know, we're fluctuating back and forth. So something to be proud of. And then if you look at the hotel motel, you'll see some numbers are there. Jay's trying to get that. You were saying you're trying to just get it collected and.
Yeah, the collections on that goes a little bit slower than the sales tax and things. I usually have to go back for previous months.
But again, that taxation is not included in what we disperse. That all goes separate. But again, that's just a FYI on the bottom of there. You'll also see at the very bottom, I've had a lot of questions lately, not necessarily from you guys, but from others, how our sales tax is allocated out. That's at the very bottom of the chart. If you don't have it, it should be on the bottom of the big one. And if you get the email, then it's definitely on there. So again, even though it looks a little bit low, we're still up, and we're still heading in the right direction. I apologize. I just realized right before we started, I didn't bring my financials up. Do you have the financials there that came out?
No.
Yeah.
I printed off.
I can open them.
That's,
I just have O2. That's
Yeah,
all I
okay.
printed with the O2.
I think you'll have, no, it's okay. We're still looking good for the month, for December. So I'll just give you that. 358,000 is where we set the expenses over revenues for the year. But you'll see for December we had was at 130,000 to the good. So we're seeing those trends that we talked about wanting to see, where the expenses are declining and the revenues are kind of trending up. That's what we want. We're still waiting on January's numbers to come through. I want to make very clear that with the numbers that came out last night from Lori, who has worked very hard. She was here till midnight, I think is when the email came through, so we need to make sure that we thank her. But with those numbers coming through for December, that catches us up. Remember that the sales tax reports are the financial reports are typically 48 to 50 days behind the close of the month. That's where we're at. So she's worked hard. She's got us caught up as of right now.
Good.
So, you know, I was at a meeting earlier and it was like, well, we still don't know where we're at. Nope, we're caught up. So we have those numbers. Now, part of those delays, and I won't go into all of the wherewithals, and I know she can come out here if she needs to correct, that's fine, but there were some imbalances, and when I say small imbalances, I think it was like $1,800 that we were trying to wiggle out, and at some point we have to say, we're down to a couple $100. Let's move on. We've got to move forward. A couple $100 is not gonna, yes, we'd like to have that zero balance, but at this point, we'll take a couple $100 off and we'll just move forward. So, that's being worked on. She's doing a great job. We want to make sure that we also allow Hannah time to get herself adequated into that. That's not happened yet. So if you go to Hannah looking for that, Lori's the one we need to talk to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we all talked about that previously, that she was we'll see that come out of her more than anybody right now. So she'll be our subject matter expert on that. But that's good. I mean, those are good numbers. We're headed in the right. We're not out of the clear. We haven't got a free ticket to go and spend. We don't have some, you might laugh at this one, we don't have a magical pot of gold sitting somewhere that we're not sharing with anybody. But the point is that a combined effort of hard work, cutting things back, being mindful of those expenses. We've started to see now the revenues for thus far in the year from the school come in for their part of that contract. I think we're at 105,000 we've received from them already. So those are the things that we're going to start to see. We've got our bank accounts look strong. Things are good. We just got to keep going. We will not be out of the clear this fiscal year, but we all knew it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. It wasn't going to be a one and done. So applaud the good work. Let's keep up the work, and we'll get there.
You might want to make a mention about, you went to the mayor's conference and how the state of Oklahoma is faring in this thing
Well,
too.
yeah, I did go to the Congress of Mayors last week in Oklahoma City. All the majority of the mayors come together. We talk about issues that are pressing. We work on creating legislation that can make its way to the floor eventually. The legislators got to get their ideas from somewhere. This is our opportunity as mayors to put it out in front of them and say, hey, here's what we want. The consensus across the state is that compared to our neighbors, our other cities, we're all in the same boat. We're more blessed than many. Just put it that way. A lot of communities are really struggling. We have communities in our area where, and I say our area within 50 miles of us, that their monthly revenues are about, well, it's less than $1,000 a month. So when we're pushing over $1 million and we've got yes, we have our things we've got to work on, we're doing good. One of the things that was discussed in this was how to create better revenues for the cities. The state has to look at sales tax revenues, but if the state is sitting on 171 sales tax exemptions, that's 171 ways that people don't have to pay their tax to the city, which takes it directly out of our pockets. So a lot of the discussion in the municipal finance group was no more. Stop adding to those tax exemptions you're taking from us. Maybe ways that require reporting of what's lost in those revenues, or ways that those systems can be audited at the state level to see what is being abused in those sales tax exemptions, things like that. But they also talked about things like drainage and transportation and all of those. So very beneficial meeting to be at. A lot of good networking. I ran into a mayor that works for an auto group that sells police vehicles. Not that we're buying any, but the idea is those networks are made that, hey, now we have somebody that we can go to that can get us those state pricing, and they're sitting on 25 to 30 vehicles at any given time. They supply those vehicles for other entities like Enterprise and things. So just knowing that those avenues are open, those are very beneficial things to go to. That's why you're going to find a lot of people advocate for those networking opportunities, but more so was being able to come together and talk about the issues that will move towns in Oklahoma forward, especially when it comes to financing.
Good news.
Is that kind of what you wanted?
Good news.
Awesome.
Yep.
And that's
And
it.
like I said, we're not the only town that's in this situation.
No, but I think we're handling it in an appropriate manner. We just, we just need to remember that we're in a marathon. This isn't a sprint. And although we'd like our leg of the race to be the finish line, we just have to identify what point we're at in that marathon of life. And our marathon will continue, and we have to keep working. But the stronger results come when we work together and cooperate. Okay?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, number 5, discuss possibly recommend council action to approve a hotel motel grant final expense report from the Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce for the Okie Homestead Expo in the amount of $3,500. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Number 6, discussion regarding review of any possible adjustments to the remaining capital outlay funds. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. What we need to work on now is we need to be able to actively move funds around in our capital outlay accounts and not just, we have the ability to move them around. There's gonna be things come up that we're gonna have to work on some different projects, and we just need to be able to move money around where it's not being used in one account. We can move it to another account to make it more available. Would you like to address any of that, Mayor?
I'll try to keep it short. The idea is as we get past that halfway mark of the year, we've got capital outlay funds, to be very clear, because I know somewhere there's a department head freaking out right now, going, what the heck? There are capital outlay expenses we need to be very cautious that we don't disrupt, right?
Sure.
Leases, things like that, the things that we pay for our websites for Cassell, those things, we want to leave those alone. What I'm saying is I'm encouraging the budget committee to independently on your own look at the capital outlay funds that are left at this point in various departments. We still have projects that we need to do. We've got the Graham building, for example, that's going to come up since we've now sold that 6 acres out by the lake. And the council, if you remember, dedicated that funds to go to the Graham building. If we get in a situation where that's not enough to cover what we need to do there, I want to be able to use capital funds for that capital project. So I want to be able to come to the budget committee and say, can we use from A to B, can we move that and cover that? So I want to make sure that we don't end the year, not saying we have to spend it. I'm not saying we want to just get out and spend to spend. In fact, what we want to do is just make sure that we know where those funds are, what's available, and that we're monitoring is really the word. We want to make sure we're monitoring what we have left in capital. And as we go into the next year, the encouragement is going to be to put all the departments together and say, what are your capital needs for the next year? And then work together to prioritize what we need to do so we get the funds in the right place after all of those necessities are taken care of. So we have, we've got some issues with the roof. We need to identify where some of these leaks are coming from. Is it the roof or is it the HVAC system? And so I want to make sure that we know that we have funds left to take care of that and that they're accessible if we need it. I don't want to get to the end of the year and not have a project done, but we have, 60,000 sitting over here not being touched. We need to use those to take care of our stuff. So that's really what that is. It's just asking for you guys to review that on your own and be aware. And if you see something that we need to look at, be prepared to do something.
So refresh my memory, the parks capital outlay, we budgeted
Yeah.
110,000, we spent 145.
No, we need to look at, that was one of the ones that came up before, and I think some of us have talked about that. There was an amount in there from last year, the 92,000 from last year's skate park was in this year's capital. I don't think it got moved out properly. So with the exception of that park one, they're really 92,000 less because we haven't.
Because we've actually only spent
only thing we've-
51,000 year to date.
Yeah, the only thing we've paid out of there was this year's park
Part two.
project. So,
Yeah,
and that was one, kind of like, I think we had talked about some of those funds where we went in and looked and we were like, no, we haven't spent, so we just need to make sure that that one's probably still got some,
Bugs in it.
but we're aware of what we've spent there and what we budgeted, and I promise you that number needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Sorry, Charles, I should have brought that up earlier.
no, you're fine.
Well, thank you.
Anything else on that?
No, not at this time.
Okay, and open door, come talk to me if you need to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, that was just a discussion only. We don't need a vote for that. Okay, I know of no unforeseen business, so I can call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Hamel.
Yeah, yes.
We are adjourned.